Hello, everybody, and welcome to Movies, Comics, Understandable. Because we are understandable, aren't we? Apparently, we're not this week. My name is Brandon, also known as Fragger, and with me, as always, is
Chris, the person.
the person. Are you a person this time?
Yeah, I'm a person now. I feel like I've moved up a couple levels. Before I was thing, I think now I'm person. I'm defining myself
So
slowly.
you're saying the thing's not a person?
Well, a person's a
Uh,
more
uh,
defined
uh,
version of a thing.
uh. But the thing is now not a person to you.
Oh, the Fantastic Four. No, he's not a person. Fuck him.
Well, the Fantastic Four are people,
He's like a lamer version of the Hulk in every way.
except
Take,
for
take that.
I actually like the thing quite a bit.
I don't have a problem with him. He's okay.
Except for the fact that the times that we've seen him in media, he's usually pretty terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on.
So this week we have a whole bunch of news. As always, when it comes to this, something major hit the day after we did this, and
Oh
ironically,
God,
we
yes.
recorded early last week, right?
We were just about a day early. We weren't
Your day
like
early. We already did it on Monday because we always record these on Tuesdays, and it would have been in time for us to talk about it too last week.
hmm
But we'll be getting to that later on because it's actually really major, and it would have been a focal point of last week,
Oh
which is
God.
just funny as shit that keeps happening to us.
It's like the day after, we'll just be like, oh, okay, this week, we don't have a whole lot out there, but we'll get something.
And it was one
Yeah.
of those things that we were even postulating on too.
Yeah, we were
It
just
was
like,
fucking hilarious.
and then we finished. We're like, probably won't have a whole lot to talk about next week. So I don't know. We would talk about movie posters or something. Like we had like a topic planned,
Hmm.
and like the next day, I was like, I guess we won't need that topic anymore.
No, we won't, which is pretty funny. But we have some small bits of news and some interesting bits of news. But first off, I want to mention that starting today on all of your digital media services, Captain America is available, The Winter Soldier.
Yes. Do 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 do.
So if you prefer to own things purely digitally, you can go to your choice version of those services, be it Vudu, Sony's Entertainment Network, I believe on Amazon as well, or iTunes. These exist. I don't know about the last two, but I know the first two are correct. But I would imagine any place that's selling it digitally only is selling it now because who wants to be the service not selling it?
Yeah, I think you can get it. I know you can get it on Amazon or Amazon right now. I think it's like 19.99 for the digital version.
It's expensive.
But then I heard like if you're looking for like a physical version, that is like crazy expensive right now, supposedly.
Really?
I thought like $30 or something like
Oh,
that.
that's called MSRP, bro.
But yeah, I mean, this is coming from someone who does not own a Blu-ray player yet, so buying them at this point, I'm just like, what? This expensive?
No, right now on Best Buy before the markdown for release day is 27 for the 3D Blu-ray, and it is save $2 off regular price. It's probably going to be a 25 to 22 range, give or take.
hmm
Which means that, but the thing is, it also comes with a digital version of the movie at the same time in HD.
Hmm.
So yeah, it'll. I think those redeem on Vudu or as in VUDU.com. And if any of you use Ultraviolet, like I do, because I still say Ultraviolet's one of the better digital distros available, they all connect and work on everything that Vudu uses. So there's that. The only problem that you may have because you have a Kindle, right? Kindle like Fire.
I use a Kindle Fire generally.
If there is a Vudu app, which is VUDU, as I said, or
hmm
Flickster, those both use that, but it's based on the Android operating system, so I believe it exists on there. So if you pick up a version of the movie that does come with those, you should be very much all set. Also available at Best Buy is a steelbook of Captain America, which has that original poster shot of him standing at the back of the dropship, looking at the helicarriers, which doesn't look bad. I would pick it up, but I don't have any of them in steelbook, and it would just look weird in my collection.
Yeah, you gotta make sure your collection looks all nice and neat and
I only have one
balanced.
steelbook on Blu-ray.
It was like after I got Mass Effect 3, the collector's edition, I was just like, well, this is awesome. I got the collector's edition, but this game fucking looks really weird compared to everything else
It's
I
out of
have.
place.
Like I was just like, this doesn't fit in with my shelf of games. Like I have to keep it like separately somewhere else, or it just looks obtuse. I almost considered just buying a separate regular copy of Mass Effect 3 just to put on my game shelf. But then I
Yeah.
was like, that's kind of wasteful.
Welcome to how my mental process works.
Yeah, it's a scary world.
It's a scary, scary world. But yeah, you're not off base. But usually, what ends up happening when it comes to physical media, movies and DVD, they're set to MSRP for one very specific reason, and that is so you don't have an escalation in price matching.
Hmm.
So what'll happen is that they'll say like, oh, the one disc Blu-ray is $15, and then one place will go, I guess now mine's $15.
Yeah, I guess all of ours just be $15 then.
We'll see them hit their normal price about a week before release. I think the Amazon Disney fight's still going on though.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
I'll check again because they've not listed Captain America as a physical version yet, just a digital, I believe. As I am typing in right now, as my computer's refusing to allow me to type things in.
Your
Okay.
computer's like, get back to editing nipples.
Ah, yes. It is currently still not listed as a physical version. You can buy digitally, and that's it. But yeah, it's when you search for Captain America: The Winter Soldier on Amazon, you get it digitally. Then the first one after that is X-Men on Blu-ray,
That's exactly what I was looking for.
and then after that is Captain America: The First Avenger,
Now, is it X-Men?
Days of Future Past.
Okay, I was gonna say like it'd be really weird if it was like, did you want the original X-Men from back in 2004? And like,
You're like,
did
sure, why not?
Did
guess
I?
maybe now I do.
I typed in Winter Soldier, but maybe I did want the original X-Men on Blu-ray.
Yeah, you probably do. So continuing with the things that I follow heavily is box office numbers for Guardians.
Oh yes.
Guardians is making tons of money. Unfortunately, not as much as I personally was hoping, because for some fucking reason, people keep seeing Ninja Turtles.
What can you do? People like them wacky turtles.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed on Twitter, I actually got really angry about that over the weekend, about people liking this movie. It's like, I guess, like I said, I can't rip it apart too much. I haven't seen it yet, but, and it's also nostalgia, blah, 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 but fuck it, it's an awful movie.
The thing for me is I've seen the movie. I'm not a Turtles guy, so like the things they get wrong, I don't notice as much. But the reason that movie is going to do really well is because the fact that it's going to be promoted all over the kids' networks. You know, Nickelodeon, I'm sure, is airing like almost nonstop Go See Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles based on the fact they have a currently running Ninja Turtle show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure it's just going to pick up a really strong kids audience. It's got name brand recognition for adults and for kids. So people who are like, I like Marvel, but I have no idea what this Guardians of the Galaxy thing is, and this Talking Raccoon thing still looks weird to me. Despite the fact they'll go see a fucking talking turtle movie, it's just it had a really good marketing that's easy to do. People are going to see Ninja Turtles, so they'd have to really fuck things up for people to not want to go see it.
Correct. And now let's dig into some numbers here. So over the weekend, Guardians made a total of 25 million, a little bit over that, and Turtles made 28.5, which means that the gap is still very close. They're fighting tooth and nail for each other's positions. And fun fact, Chris, I don't know if you saw this yet, but today, for the first time since Turtles hit, Guardians was number one at the box office. Today,
oh, really?
Yesterday.
Did it?
Yes, it
That's
actually
great.
took number one back for daily.
Holy crap! You're able to do that after what, like 3 weeks in the? I gotta understand. Turtles has been out for 2 weeks as well, but to be able to like in 3 weeks come back and be like, I'm gonna be number one again.
It didn't beat it by that much. It literally beat it by $80,000.
Yeah, which is not a whole lot, but it is kind of crazy that it's still able to compete with the fact that Guardians has been doing so consistently well throughout the week,
and is in less theaters now than Turtles.
Yeah, I mean it's very crazy to me how well Guardians has been doing on a day by day basis. This is a movie that has been holding ridiculously well in like that Monday through Thursday area where normally movies just dip off.
Now to go further, Guardians is now at 225,000.5. God damn, my brain is not working correctly. That 225 million.5.
Mhm.
So that it is currently the what is it? It has beaten the entire run of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Godzilla, and has become the fourth highest grossing film of the year so far, and it is not done yet, unlike those other films that are on the list, which is Captain America, Transformers, and X-Men Days of Future Past. Current thought is that it will surpass all of those and will probably end up either in the 275 or a little bit below that, or a little
Which
higher
is
than that.
insane.
And by the way,
That
domestic only. By the way,
that's what I mean. Like that it will make that much domestic. When we first started talking about what this movie would do, I gave that total was like 450 worldwide, and I was like, most of that movie's probably going to come worldwide because I think they'd be a bit more able to jump into this kind of premise than maybe most Americans would.
and I think
But
I
the
said
fact
300,000. I mean, 300 million domestic is what I said.
and the fact they're getting close to that is insane to me. It's such a huge accomplishment for them that they were able to market the movie, I guess, as well as they did, because I had to feel like that's the biggest reason behind it. Because outside of Chris Pratt, it's not as though this movie has that ridiculous name value to it,
Hmm.
star value. So this is incredible to me. I mean, their numbers right now aren't going to be as impressive just based on the fact that worldwide it hasn't released in a lot of places yet. So their foreign numbers are a bit lower than what other movies would be tracking at this number at this point. Like Captain America released pretty much entirely worldwide around the same time, or about within a week or so of each other. But I think Guardian still has several places. It still isn't coming out till
Because it
October.
mainly has to do with the fact that there were still other things releasing, so they had to make sure that they weren't competing with those other movies at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Captain America, which had almost no competition,
It was in April,
period.
so yeah, I was like, whatever, I'll fucking yeah, try to stop me. So I mean,
There's more,
it's
by the
yeah.
way. There's more. That's
Oh, okay.
fantastic. It has been the number one movie of the summer, day by day, since its 10th day at the box office. It overtook Transformers on day by day at day 10 at the
That's
box
fucking
office,
great.
and has held it since then.
Does
Because
that make you smile?
it makes me smile quite a bit because fuck you, Transformers. But on day 9, which was a Saturday, by the way. That was their second Saturday.
Hmm.
They were at 163, 650, 634, and Transformers was at 163, 770. And then that one day, it jumped over and hasn't relinquished. And this is where the gap is now. At day 18, which was yesterday, I'll just go with some of the in-depth numbers, but this is goes Captain, Spider-Man, Godzilla, X-Men, then Transformers. I'll probably say that again, but since I don't have the names at the top of this list, I had to make sure I was saying them correctly. Captain America at this point in time had 203 million. Amazing Spider-Man had 173 million. Godzilla had 175. X-Men had 191, and Transformers had 210. And now Guardians has 225. That is how much better it is doing than all those movies right now, which is crazy.
Bravo for them. No, nobody would have called this ahead of time.
And it is the one of the only non-sequels. The only other non-sequel was Godzilla,
Hmm.
which was a reimagining, because I don't want to say remake because fuck you 98 Godzilla,
You just want to pretend it doesn't even exist.
which is actually at this very moment that we are recording this having an encore of the riff tracks live of it.
Oh, the '98 version.
Yeah, they riffed
Oh,
on
okay.
it live, and the encore is right now.
Do you want to go and see it? Is
No, I'm
this what
good.
you're?
I'll
You're like, we'll do the podcast later.
no, I'm waiting to see their the Anaconda one because that's gonna be probably brilliant.
Like the Ice Cube
Yes,
Anaconda. Oh wow.
yes, because
I
there
mean, I
are
fuck.
in fact snakes out there this big.
Oh God, I need to go see that movie sometime. Like that was a shitty movie from back when I was a kid, but I remember my entire family had jokes about it.
Hmm.
Like I don't like the fucking I don't know the line like after he eats the captain gets eaten and like the guy's like I didn't eat your captain, Mateo. Like it's just like this weird pause after he says captain. It's very amusing.
I still say my favorite line from that movie is they go, "Are there snakes out there this big?"
Well, yeah,
Yes, yes,
stupid.
apparently there is. So that is it for the box office numbers. Guardians is continuing to impress, and I'm very hopeful by this time. Oh, there was one more that I completely forgot. Is where it now stands amongst the other Marvel movies. That is the one I forgot to grab. So I'm all, since I started saying that, I've already opened up enough tabs to now say it is the sixth highest grossing MCU film domestically. It is above Thor: The Dark World,
Hmm.
and of course, its next bit of competition is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Will it pass that? Most likely. I
Now, are
mean,
you talking worldwide? It'll pass
I
it.
only am talking domestic. I do
Okay.
not track international numbers ever for
Okay.
one reason. Day by day international is very tough to track down.
Okay. Oh
International,
yeah. So domestically, yeah, it's gonna beat it.
it's going to beat it. But the thing is, when it comes to international, they don't really tend to be big numbers unless they're coming out around the same time or it's over. Because with a movie like this, it's being staggered through so many countries. It's going to have huge highs, then goes straight down, then goes way back up again. It's going to be like a schizophrenic line graph on this movie because of that release schedule. So it's going to be really tricky to nail how good it did domestically, I mean internationally, until it's over.
Mm.
Which is why I'm not even looking at that yet, for that reason. But that's probably as high as it's going to go. So it's probably going to end up being the fifth highest grossing, just because of the fact is it will not beat Iron Man 2, unfortunately. Unless it got a
Probably not.
huge surge at the box office, because Iron Man is 312.
And pretty much everything other than that is like, hey, we made a fuck ton of money.
Well, no, above that, if it beat Iron Man 2, it'll beat Iron Man 1, which was 318.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, that's a huge fucking if. If it beat Iron Man 2, it would probably beat Iron Man 1 because that distance is so insignificant that the movie would have to literally end its box office run before it beat Iron Man 1.
And the only things above that would be Iron Man 3,
Yeah, we're
Avengers, right?
talking 409 and 623
Yeah,
for
well, it's even
Iron
if
Man
it,
3 and
I
Evidence.
think even if it reopened, like everyone forgot they saw it and they had another reopening, it probably still wouldn't beat Avengers.
Yeah, but I think we both agree, we mentioned this last week, how much is this movie going to make when its sequel hit?
It's gonna kill for its sequel. If everyone left this movie with the idea if that was a good movie, I would definitely see a sequel, which I pretty much have gathered that's the general consumption of or consensus on this movie. I can't imagine what the sequel would make.
I'm going to go based on the laws of diminished creative returns. Just the fact that maybe the sequel won't be as creatively interesting. Let's say that happens, right?
Hmm.
It could do Avengers money, even with that. Mainly for one reason. It's going to release at a time of the year that is much more lucrative for it to release. We don't know of any major competition at this moment. And Guardians is now big enough to pull that off.
That's yeah. It'll come down to if there's other stuff coming around that time that maybe it'll compete with that, but
I think that
otherwise,
everyone's going to be like, oh, hell no.
yeah, fuck that.
Because the sequel to the movie that surprised everyone is it is now being close to beloved. Fuck that noise.
Yeah,
DC's like we're coming out like 2 months later because it'll still be playing.
they'll be like, maybe we'll hold off on Shazam for a couple more months.
Yeah, because Guardians will murder it. Guardians will murder its competition that week. The only things that could possibly beat it would be dead celebrity movies, and it would have to be
Oh.
good dead celebrity movies,
Well, now you brought up dead celebrities, and I'm
or
sad.
or a Batman movie. With
Oh,
yeah, we're talking Dark Knight level of dead celebrity movies.
oh, okay. So it's like the sequel to Batman vs Superman comes out after Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill both died. Like
Tragically in a gay lovemaking accident.
I was gonna say separately, but then everyone's kind of suspecting like I think they died having sex with one another. Like
So,
they both just had gay heart attacks during sex.
because we all know gay heart attacks exist.
That's the thing. It's a
The thing.
proven fact.
So much gay sex.
Oh, I'm having a gay heart attack, which is like a regular heart attack, but more sparkles. Ugh.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing that could possibly pose a threat or something just gigantic.
Yeah,
Like
if they're like, oh guys, fucking
Justice
Star
League.
yeah, we're moving Star Wars back until fucking like a week after or something like that, then yeah, they'd be like,
Yeah,
fuck.
that'd be about it. But it may not pull Avengers opening numbers, but I'm thinking that Guardians, unless it's a bad movie, will have the staying power of Avengers and will be pulling in tons of money day on day, because this kind of numbers that's pulling in right now is very indicative of the fact that the sequel will be liked by a lot of people. The other thing too is that we already know that we're not going to be playing in this universe until Guardians 2 hits.
Yeah.
The closest might be Doctor Strange, and we might get like a teaser or a nod or a cameo to Guardians in Doctor Strange, maybe the post credits leading into Guardians 2.
Mhm.
And it, depending on what their actual theme is going to be for Guardians 2, it could even be better because it's like, oh, this is the Thanos movie. Although I think James Gunn's already said it's not.
Yeah, he said I don't think Thanos is going to be heavily involved in this one.
So, yeah. I just think that I'm staking that claim right now that Guardians 2, unless it's gonna completely just fucking bomb, is gonna do. I I'll actually amend it. I'll say it'll be at the very least like Iron Man 3 numbers. It'll open that big,
That's a much more
but I'm only saying
it's
Avengers because this is going into a group that is mostly as loved as we kind of were going into loving the group in Avengers already. Because this is a team up film again. If you really want to go break it down like that, I'm doing gang signs by the way while I'm saying that.
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think it's gonna either be one of those two or in the middle.
Okay.
But we also do have lead-in problems with, let's say, Doc Strange's poo. That could hurt it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to also think the Marvel brand and how that's going to work.
Well, speaking of the Marvel brand, I should probably stop postulating and throwing out numbers at people, which is the most interesting thing in the world. And you actually have interesting news to talk about.
Yeah, we've got some news all over the place. We'll save our biggest news for last, but we've got a little piece of news from just about everything else in the Marvel universe right now. Some casting news, quick piece from Agents of Shield. We knew after Comic Con that there was going to be Mockingbird in the second season of Agents of Shield. At the time, no one was announced for it. We now know who's going to be playing her, and it's going to be Adrienne Palicki or Palicki. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that last name.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know much about her. I guess she was in Friday Night Lights, a couple other series. I believe she was also supposed to be in that failed Wonder Woman pilot that was out a couple years ago, and also apparently part of a Aquaman pilot that bombed before it ever made it on television.
It sunk.
It's sunk before it ever got the chance to make it
There
on
you go.
television. So she's been a part of some superhero series. Unfortunately, nothing successful. So hopefully she doesn't.
She's not 3 for 3.
Yeah, hopefully she doesn't sink Agent of Shield along the way. But that's a little piece of news. I don't know much about her, so I can't really say too much more. But in a piece of casting news that isn't confirmed but is mentioned just about every single week, Terry Crews still wants to play Luke Cage. He still wants to. This news story, I'm reading this from IGN, and in the same week I saw it from IGN, a separate news entity had a separate interview with Terry Crews where in the same respect they asked him, hey, do you want to play Terry Crews? And he's like, yes, I do.
Terry Crews wants to play Terry Crews?
Yeah, Terry Crews wants to play Terry Crews. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I want to be me, but a superhero now. But I'm still me. Like, I'm still Terry Crews.
Terry Crews, man.
But I have the secret identity of also being Terry Crews. So people
no one expected Terry Crews, man, to be Terry Crews.
No, they're like, no one's that stupid. No, he wants to be Luke Cage. And, we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but it's definitely a guy who I could see playing that role.
Mm-hmm.
I have to see Terry Crews in kind of a dramatic role first because my only exposure to Terry Crews at this point is wacky movies, white chicks and all those sorts of like the closest thing to dramatic I saw him in was the Newsroom, and even in that he was still wacky and comedic. So I would have to see him in something a little bit more serious and grounded before I could be like completely bond to him as Luke Cage. But
and I'm guessing his responses are that would be cool.
His responses are, I would really like to play him. I was a big fan of him. I'd like to play anyone in the Marvel universe. So, like, it's not specifically
well,
like
I
need.
Means
yeah,
let's talk to him because the moment Marvel talks to you, people are like, I can't talk about that.
Yeah, people are like, I don't know.
There's Marvel snipers watching us.
To be fair, Luke Cage still is in that state where they're like, look, we haven't even finished casting necessarily for Daredevil, so
Yeah, they're not
he
ready to talk about anything past that, but I can imagine that Marvel is probably looking towards something like that. If Terry Crews is ready to do TV, then maybe, who knows? But that
Terry Crews has done TV before. He's had a couple of failed. Well, he had a couple of series that lasted only a little bit of
was
time.
he
He
in
was in.
Dads?
He had his own show on. I want to say what's Conan on TBS.
CBS.
I
Oh,
think he had his own show there for a little bit. Like he was the
God.
dad of a family. It was a family sitcom.
Wasn't it a Tyler
Uh,
Perry show?
I think Tyler Perry was a part of it as well.
Oh man, I'm sorry, Terry
If not,
Crews.
the Tyler Perry produced it. He was in that. He was in Newsroom, so he's not unfamiliar
Well,
with
I mean,
television.
like leading a TV show, so it kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like if he's like, oh yeah, I'll do that, whatever, I don't care.
yeah.
Then
I could definitely see him in that. He had some good quotes on it. He said, "I love to do Luke Cage. I heard they finally greenlit that whole thing. I'd love to do something like that." He says, "I have to go back to Luke Cage just because he was our Superman. There were no African American superheroes out there. He was the first. He was the man. He was the one. Is the only example we could look at." So he clearly likes Luke Cage a lot.
hmm
So if he goes in, he's definitely going to have that passion. It should be cool. Just as a side note here, if you guys want to check it out, over on the comicbookresources.com, they had a cool article about how Luke Cage would today actually be a pretty pivotal superhero to exist, considering a lot of the political events going on in the world right now, in the U.S. specifically. So if you want to, it's a really kind of interesting story that makes you think a little bit more about what Luke Cage could mean in today's day and age. So I'd suggest go checking it out. But yeah, I'd have no problem with Terry Crews as Luke Cage.
it almost feels like Marvel casting.
Almost. Again, I need to see him in something more grounded first.
For me, if they announced, oh, Terry Crews is going to play Luke Cage, I'd be kind of like, wonder how
Oh
that's
yeah,
going to work.
okay. I could dig.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all I had for the Netflix series right now. And now let's move into Doctor Strange.
Yay.
Doctor Strange is a little bit of ways away. Real quick piece of news here at the start. This is actually isn't recent news. It just kind of was brought to my attention recently. It didn't get a whole lot of buzz when it came about, but it sounds like we do have our composer already for Doctor Strange, Christopher Young, who's worked with director Scott Derrickson a lot,
hmm
including his most recent picture, Delivers from Evil, was at Comic Con. And they asked him, "Hey, are you going to be scoring Doctor Strange?" He's like, "I better be. Scott said I was. I'm going to be pissed if I'm not. Like, I want to fucking do that." So
That is a great response.
yeah, essentially it's him being like, "Yeah, I think he's already told me I'm going to." So there you go, someone to note in that. But the other piece of news, and this is a bit of a weird one here, because I don't really know why the person who gave this interview has this information. This is from an interview with Devin Faraki of Badass Digest, and he had this long interview that featured actually a couple different topics. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing. I've only been mostly able to get through transcripts of it. But during this interview, he talks about how the Doctor Strange movie will not be an origin story. And he says this because he's seen the original script. And he says, featured in the original script was this origin story, and Baron Mordo was the bad guy. And he says that's all gone now because Marvel's new thing is no more origin stories.
Oh, thank God.
You excited about that?
Yes.
Really?
I love, because I feel origin stories really bring down a movie. Because Guardians wasn't specific an origin story. It was about the team coming together, but it wasn't an origin story, if you really look at it.
Hmm.
It was more of like the Avengers. It was an origin of the Avengers themselves, not of the characters. Now, I really dislike origin stories for the most part. Some of them I think we do need, and I wouldn't have minded a Doctor Strange one. But my problem with doing them is that it really brings down the first half of your movie in exposition, all this other shit that's going on in the movie. And if you already know this guy's gonna become a superhero because of the fucking trailers.
Yeah.
So you've already know where like the movie is going to end up. So there's no dramatic tension in the guy like for instance in the thing that we watched, the animated movie.
Hmm.
Oh, is he going to go through these tests and become a mystic? Yes, we know that already. There's no dramatic tension. I mean, there's the dramatic tension in the journey itself, not in the destination, but it does take the air out of it somewhat. It's more of the supporting characters in those roles than it is the main character. And I think that's what they're trying to subvert here is that they're probably going to tackle it like the Incredible Hulk did, where it's going to be a little bit after the origin story happened.
Now, I actually have a theory on how they might handle it, but
Mm.
there's a little piece of news I also need to bring up in regards to this,
Mm-hmm.
and that is an interview that is on record with Kevin Feige, where he explains Doctor Strange. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, I believe,
Yes.
where he quoted saying as he thinks Doctor Strange has one of the best origins ever, and that he has, quote, a classic Marvel origin story. So that kind of goes against what they're saying here, is if they're, no origin stories, especially not in Doctor Strange, but Kevin Feige's like, oh, but Doctor Strange is a really bitchin' origin. But there's a super out there theory on my end, but Doctor Strange is going to be their entry into the supernatural, the mystic, a whole new element in the series. And I feel if you're going into that realm, you open up the door for another Infinity Stone. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you could work the Time Stone into that really well. And if you have the Time Stone, you could very easily show the events that make Doctor Strange the way he is after we've already been introduced to him as a hero. Because you have to show these events that make him who he is, otherwise, it doesn't carry as much weight. I mean, we saw from that movie the only reason Doctor Strange is really as noble as a hero as he is because he had such a ridiculously painful fall from grace where he loses his hands, he lost his family, he really doesn't have anything left. So seeing him come from that humble ground to the where he is now, it's what makes him so endearing as a hero at the start. So they have to show that in some
Well,
way.
that's why I was alluding to the whole way that they did Incredible Hulk, which they still did that.
Yeah, they still did that. They did it very quickly, but I also wonder if part of that's because they're like, look, Hulk doesn't have that complex of a story. Where Doctor Strange, this is going to be the intro for almost everybody who isn't like a
Well,
Marvel fan.
I'll say it like this: the way that Doc Strange works as a great origin story is the fall from grace, not the training.
Mhm.
Because I think a good way to compare it would be imagine a Spider-Man origin story where you see him get bit by a spider, and he's like, "Oh no, I got powers," and you see him like climb up a wall, then says like 6 months later, and he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Other than the whole loss of Uncle Ben thing and the whole pathos of that, but the whole him training and doing all that shit allows it to move forward a bit, so we don't see him like doing the opening hero stuff. The original Spider-Man movie did that to a certain extent. Instead of having the first, let's say, act and a half of the movie be the straight up origin, which like the Amazing Spider-Man did.
Hmm.
The original Spider-Man, he's like, Uncle Ben's dead. Montage.
Yeah. And you know what? I could certainly see an advantage to not doing origin stories, where I think it would make for a more flowing movie experience. But there's also a part of me that's like, most of the heroes we're going to be getting now
Are going to be out there.
are going to be ones that are out there or ones that nobody has any clue about. And I feel like if, like, say you start a Black Panther movie and you have no idea who Black Panther is, and you just open this movie with this dude going out and fighting, fucking whoever, people are going to be like, I don't know about this. Like, I feel like you need that human grounding, and you
Let
could
me.
definitely do it in the Hulk way, but I feel like,
I
I,
think a good way to introduce Black Panther is how they did Earth's Mightiest Heroes, where he shows up asking for help,
mhm.
and that allows you to explain the character at the same time.
But
Where
in that, don't you need it someone else, like him, to premiere in someone else's movie?
true, but you know what I'm saying is like that's a
Yeah,
great way to introduce that character
there's
is,
different ways for them to do this, and Marvel, I think, is creative enough to utilize those as well. I mean, we've
and
seen
I
with
think maybe
Hulk.
what they're saying is no origin stories is the idea of what we have as origin story movies,
Mhm.
like
Now, remember, this
like
is
Iron
not.
Man, Captain America, Thor. Well, not even Thor. It's not even really an origin story
Yeah,
either.
Thor is just jump right into it. Like, oh, fucking Thor. I mean, I guess it's an origin in his place on
It's an
Earth.
origin for him being a hero, not of him. Period.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but I understand what you're saying, and I just think that that's probably what they mean is the traditional sense of an origin story, if that is actually what they're doing. And
yeah,
I'm just going with that as a tangent to go on. Is all.
yeah. That's the thing. I want to just note here. David Faraci, from what I understand, just is a news reporter for this sort of stuff. So I don't know.
Walking the beat, getting all the news that are following.
Yeah, like I don't know if this is him that he's actually, because it feels weird that if he's seen Marvel's script that he'd just openly be like, oh yeah, they had it and Baron Mordo was in it and they fucking scrapped all of it. That Marvel would be cool with him saying that. So
I can imagine
uh,
Bob being like, "What the
yeah,
fuck?"
what the fuck, dude? Come on now. So I don't know how legitimate this news story is. I would take it with a big grain of salt right now until some other sources collaborate on it, or until we hear more about Doctor Strange, which probably isn't going to be for quite a little bit right
Yeah,
now.
until next Comic Con.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of movies that are far off but are interested to talk about, there is an interview with some of the writers behind Captain America 3 and The Winter Soldier. And I kind of just wrote a whole bunch about this because I fucking really love Captain America and
Oh,
listening
really?
to
You
these
do?
guys. Yeah, I really do. And listening to these guys talk about it was kind of awesome. Like it just kind of reaffirmed some of my thoughts of why Marvel is nailing Captain America so right now. They talk about the first thing they talk about is how writing Steve Rogers can seem really counterproductive to the traditional thought process when it comes to writing a character. Because they have a quote here. He's like a statue that stands there during all four seasons. Everything happens, and at the end of it, he's just like, nope, still here, sorry. And that really does kind of nail exactly kind of what Captain America is. This, maybe stubborn, but very stalwart into his ideals character who doesn't go through, per se, the big changes that other characters usually have to go through in these superhero movies. He's generally at the same place he was at the beginning, maybe with just some new ideas.
Yeah, like it's more like reaffirming his worldview than changing
Mhm.
his worldview.
Yeah, at the end of Winter Soldier, he does not feel any differently about Shield than he did at the beginning. He's still like, this isn't freedom. So it's kind of a cool, unique character in that way, and I like that that's the thought process they have with him. That they're like, no, Captain America kind of stands his ground on these things.
And let's not
They
change him. So that
Yeah.
yeah, that's the big part is let's not just change him so that we can do that traditional arc of a character in a movie.
hmm They talk about how they are trying to work on making Steve Rogers' current day sort of adjustment be more about the morality of it and less on like iPod jokes. Quote, we want Cap to adjust to the new world, so it's about emotions, it was about ethics, it was about morality. It's how far have we come since you went into the ice and not how short have skirts become.
Hmm.
They talk about how they're going to be keeping kind of the current tone for these movies as being the Brubaker run. When we hit upon the Brubaker run of the comic, we all said, with certain exceptions, that's the tone of Cap's modern franchise.
Yeah.
So you're going to be in the future. Captain movies are going to be sticking with this political thriller kind of vibe to them. They did mention that Hawkeye was in the original script for Winter Soldier, but he was removed when they realized they didn't really have enough for him to do. Uh, One of the writers also notes that he really wants to add Modocs to the movies, but
Yes.
he's really fucking tough to work into it. So
Yeah, well,
they haven't quite yet.
we've already dealt with AIM, so it'd be weird to bring in Modoc unless it actually is a certain character who died at the end of a certain Iron Man 3
Ooh. I mean,
becomes
they could.
Modoc. Mhm.
They definitely could.
That'd be weird as fuck.
And then finally, they talk a bit about how the fact that this interview happened after the whole new Marvel initiative came out. So they speak on the fact that Falcon's taking over the role of Cap in the comics, but that's not really something they're going to be doing, especially with the cynicism kind of attached to status quo changes in comics. They're quoted, I think there's a much greater need to shake up things in comics because that's a narrative that's been going on for 60 or 70 years. So you're going to wind up with having to do things to it. Ours has only been off the ground for five or so it's not quite time to start changing things yet. So I don't think they're necessarily going to be putting Falcon in a role or something like that just because the comics do. And they even, I think, have another quote in there. I didn't write it down, but another quote on the regards of that. Look, we'll take stuff from comics, but it's not going to be, piece for piece. It'll be a long time before we're like, oh, okay, that's been in the story long enough that we'll take from that now.
Yeah. I actually kind of hope that he appears in Agents of Shield. Actually, I would hope to see him pop up in there. That'd be cool.
Falcon, yeah, I could definitely dig that.
Yeah, I could dig
And
that too.
it seems like something Anthony Mackie would be into.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I'd be
yeah,
all for
do
it.
that. I am already kind of sad that since he's not listed for Avengers, but they probably didn't realize how big of a character he's going to be after Cap.
Yeah, and it's always possible. Maybe he has a very small cameo role or something like that. So who knows? We'll find out in a little bit, I guess. Uh, but then finally, we got some Ant-Man news.
Speaking of, what is today?
The start of Ant-Man's filming.
Mm-hmm.
So If you were curious, Marvel has revealed their first look of Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. It's not him in the Ant-Man costume yet. You don't get that, but you do get him as Scott
In
Lang,
a hoodie.
in a hoodie with some bandages over his eyes, looking kind of. It's an interesting look for Paul Rudd. I'm always used to Paul Rudd being the dapper, good-looking guy, so it's kind of interesting seeing him not dirtied up. I mean, he's still attractive, I assume, but it is a very unique look for him right now. It's kind of getting me excited for the movie, uh, even though it's like one teaser shot that tells me almost nothing about it.
This is also very much following, I think, what we both said was going to be happening. This is going to be a much more open
Mhm.
Marvel filming process because they need to prove a little bit after this. Just it has nothing to do with the movie itself because Marvel has earned that just because of Guardians.
Mhm.
They need to earn it because of the troubled nature that this movie has had.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, based off of the cast, I could not be more excited for this movie because Marvel put out sort of a press release saying, "Hey, we've started production," and during it, they announced people who are in the movie, and some of the people in this are astounding. Judy Greer is going to be in this movie. She plays what's her name? Cheryl in Archer, along with she did some of the motion capture for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. John Slattery, who played Howard Stark, Tony Stark's father in Iron Man 2's in it. So this is basically confirming you're going to get some kind of flashback scene.
Which was already was talked about a while ago
Yeah.
that it was going to have some of that back when Edgar Wright was still making it, but who knows how much of that was still in there. We at
Well, from
least
what I
have
understand,
confirmation that it's going to be in there for a little bit.
there was a rumor going about that it might have been part of the problem that caused Edgar Wright to leave is that Marvel was like, we need you to put these kinds of scenes in the movie because we want it to tie to the overall universe, and he wanted it to be more of a one-off kind of thing.
Hmm.
So might have been something. Michael Pena is going to be in the movie. He was recently in Cesar Chavez as Cesar Chavez. But the two people who, like, the moment I saw their names on here, I freaked out was Wood Harris, who I know is Avon Barksdale from The Wire, and Bobby Cannavale, who I know is Chip Rossetti from Boardwalk Empire. And the moment I heard that those two were in this movie,
You're like,
my
done.
my enthusiasm was like fucking to the roof. I was like, you couldn't, like you got like from the pantheon of HBO villains, you selected easily two of the best from their movie or from their shows.
It's like they're trying to make a good movie or something.
It's ridiculous. Now I'm a little bit concerned because they're not like the lead villain, Yellow Jacket, is still Corey Stoll, and I really like I love fucking Wood Harris and Bobby Cannavale, so I want them to be more than like Thug 1 and 2. But I'm assuming since they announced them, they're going to have roles in the movie that could even expand beyond this, for all we know. Um, but I'm so excited. Bobby Cannavale, Jip Rossetti in Boardwalk Empire, Bobby Cannavale played him, was phenomenal. I loved exactly what he brought to that role. So if he plays a villain in this, he's so intimidating in those roles that I feel like he can fucking nail that out of the park. And Wood Harris as Avon Barksdale is just phenomenal. I mean, he carried that show for like 2.5 seasons.
One of them could very easily be like the villain bait for a sequel.
Or they could be the real villain behind Corey Stoll or something
The
like that.
heavy.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. Both of those guys, everyone that I list on there, and I think there's even people I didn't mention that they announced. David Dash Malakian for The Dark Knight and Prisoners. I don't know his whole name there. Greg Turkington, Ti's in this. I guess that's the thing. But no, I'm super excited about those guys. I mean, between those ones I just mentioned, fucking Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas, I'm willing to forgive Evangeline Lilly right now because I'm so excited about the rest of the cast of this that I'm just gonna overlook Kate altogether, despite the fact she has like the third biggest role in the movie. I'm
Hmm.
pumped. I'm pretty pumped about this.
Let's see what happens.
Damn straight.
So yeah, Ant Man. Ant Man.
Well, we'll be looking forward to any news that continues to come out about it. But this is going to basically, this is going to put us to our big news of the week.
Hmm.
And this is the stuff that came out right after we finished recording last week. Uh, yeah. But basically, right after that, the Collider.com reported that an Inhuman script, the Inhuman script that Joe Robert Cole had been working on for Marvel, has been approved by Marvel and is now in the circulation process. Meaning, we talked a little bit, I think it was last week, the week before, that Marvel has this system right now where they take script writers, they give them these properties. Hey, write a script for this. When the script's ready, they're like, okay, this is good. They then shop it around to different directors, ones who have a particular vision they want to utilize. They say, here's the script. You approve this, and you can change everything you need to. This is just the base foundation of the script, and
This is
work
like the
off from there.
direction we want it to go.
Yeah, this is what they did to get James Gunn involved with Guardians of the Galaxy. This is what they did, presumably. I don't have confirmation, but I presume it's the same thing they did with Scott Derrickson and Doctor Strange. And the fact that they have this now confirmed that this is out there, this is basically a guarantee we're getting an Inhumans movie, and it's going to be sooner rather than later.
Matt, what year do you think this is going to be happening based on this article?
Well, that is the very interesting thing about it, because in collaboration with this, Vin Diesel posted on Facebook saying, haha, Vin and Marvel, y'all made it happen. I get the strange feeling that Marvel thinks I'm inhuman with a capital I, haha. And this all kind of goes
Mike
back.
dropped.
This all kind of goes back to an interview that he did with bleedingcool.com back in 2013, where he talked a little bit about the fact that he had a meeting with Marvel. And at the time, what we got out of it was, oh, you're going to be Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. But he talked a little bit more about it, and he has two very good quotes on this. I get a call. Should I do my Vin Diesel impersonation? Or I get a call?
I don't think we need a weapon of mass destruction right now.
I get the call. I go down to Marvel. Great meeting. I was even talking about something so big I can't even talk about it because it's like the merging of brands in a way, which I won't go into. This was something way, 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 way down the road. Quite frankly, it would have been too much to say, and it might have been anticlimactic to say, we're working on something for 2016. And so I just said, you're going to hear some really big news, and I left it at that. The next
This is
Monday,
during a Comic-Con when he was talking about Riddick, by the way.
yes. The next Monday, Marvel talks to me and says, we're going to send something over in 2 weeks. We want to focus on the 2016, but if we want to,
If you want to.
yeah, but we also want to, if answer this, I must have typed that wrong, sorry. We want to answer this growing request for something now. So the request for something now was, you're going to be Groot. We're going to put you in Groot. But they obviously had plans to put Vin Diesel in something else. And the date they talked about was 2016. Now, Vin Diesel has now said, oh, Marvel thinks I'm ha 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 inhuman, alluding to the fact that he might be in the Inhumans movie that has now just been approved. So Vin Diesel very easily could be Black Bolt in an Inhumans movie coming out probably in 2017, because I think the 2016 dates are booked up.
No, they're
But
not.
20, well, the second date's been, I think,
No.
pretty much confirmed for Doctor Strange.
Is it
I
Doctor
believe-
Strange is 2016?
Yeah, I believe Variety reported that, and I think Marvel's all but confirmed
Oh,
it.
sorry, I'm getting my years mixed up. My bad.
Yeah, it's Captain America, Doctor Strange, and then the first date in 2017 is free, then it's Guardians, and then there's a third date in 2017, which is free. And this matches up very close to what they're saying here. 2060 was probably a date they had back then. Then they moved it back a little bit, but they have a script out now.
Maybe
which is,
because a Inhumans movie wasn't written well enough by then, and
Yeah.
yeah.
but this lines up very well with those rumors. So it sounds like, I mean, again, this isn't confirmed, but this sounds exactly
It's
like they're
pretty
saying,
much confirmed.
there's going to be an Inhumans movie. It's probably going to be in 2017, and it's probably going to have Vin Diesel as Black Bolt in the leading role.
Let's be honest. All of these things coming together is pretty much fucking confirming it.
Yeah, it's extremely awesome in that way. And holy shit, are you excited for this?
Yeah. Inhumans is a property I'm not super informed on.
Yes.
I know it's like Space X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not even Space X-Men, because I think for a while they were located around Earth.
They were on the moon. The dark side of the moon.
Yeah.
But it's just the easiest way to describe it is Space X-Men, because they do more cosmic stuff because it's a cosmic property. And if memory serves, it's more of a cosmic property because they just, even though they're stationed on Earth, they deal with space problems.
Mm-hmm.
Because Earth is pretty well handled most of the time. But, yeah. Because if memory serves, Black Bolt's part of the Illuminati.
Yes, he is. He's one of the members of the Illuminati.
And I believe he was there to represent the space part of the Illuminati.
I think it was just meant to represent the Inhumans in general, but yeah, essentially he was there
Like
to
Xavier was there to represent. He was there for
mutants.
two reasons, and one of them was mutants.
Yeah, but also like yeah, I guess you're kind of smart, fucking psychic powers and shit.
Yeah, something like that. You're representing the bald portion of the population.
Yeah, we need you, and it's fucking the bald portion and
The bald,
black.
wheelchair-bound telepath
Yeah,
population.
Black Bolt's like, what the fuck? When am I not bald, motherfucker? Yeah, so I mean, this is huge news. This is Marvel saying, hey, look, Guardians made a fuck ton of money. We can do this with another property now.
Oh, yes.
We could take something else that nobody else really knows about, but we know that these characters are cool. We know that they're fun. We can turn this into something awesome. We can deal with something. We can tackle something that we don't have in anything else. Because I believe it was an interview with Kevin Feige where he talked a bit about the Inhumans, and he mentioned they would give us a chance to kind of deal with social issues, which is something not a lot of Marvel movies have had the chance to. This is a movie that commonly, or a franchise that gets commonly compared to X-Men because they deal with similar problems. It's about people who have this kind of bloodline trait in them that gives them these crazy powers that they can't really control necessarily at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So this having the Inhumans opens up a huge door for the Marvel Cinematic Universe in that now they can start also having villains and characters in their universe who have powers that they don't have to explain as some technological thing or something like that. They can say, hey, this character is an Inhuman. That's why this character has these abilities.
Yeah, and it also allows them to now tie into the Guardians side of things, which is now going to be insanely popular.
Mm-hmm.
And it also does make sense if it's paired with Guardians, you're going to have a cosmic year, which is kind of rad.
Yeah, and we still don't know a date for Thor 3 yet, so they could also put Thor 3 in that time.
If
And
we
then
even have
just
a
like,
Thor 3 around then, because
well,
who
yeah,
knows?
I mean, we don't know yet exactly when it'll be, but
But I also did find out about Mr. Black Bolt here with the Illuminati. He was actually there to represent the Inhumans and rulers,
rulers.
because he was the ruler of the Inhumans.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the same reason Namor is there is because he's the king.
That's also why. It's like
Okay.
they both represented that. And remember, Serge Namor was also the first to leave.
Yeah, but Namor's a douche. So
No, it was also because of the whole Hulk thing.
yeah, yeah, he was actually the one good guy in that situation.
But he was
That's
like,
true.
"This is dumb."
He's like, stop being idiots.
Yeah.
Stop being big dumb idiots.
Hmm.
No, I'm really excited about this. We definitely, I feel like we need to take a little bit of a look at some Inhuman stuff at this point
Yeah.
because I kind of need to familiarize myself with these characters. I know very little about them. I know, Black Bolt's the leader. He has a voice that can, blow up fucking planets and shit if he
Just
talks
like
to him.
Vin Diesel.
He does have the right voice for that. That is really fucking spot on casting for that. Plus, they don't have to worry about people being like, why is this guy Groot and this guy? Because Groot fucking says 3 words and then this guy says nothing. And isn't even going to talk with the same voice anyway to begin with, so it's not going to matter much. But it really is going to be pretty cool in that regard.
It's gonna be super weird when he starts showing up as Black Bolt saying, "I am Groot." It's gonna be super weird.
That would be great if he just starts talking like, I am Groot. Says that to him.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I forgot who I was.
Oh, God, and I forget every time I talk, I blow up things. Um, No, I'm this is a very cool piece of news to come out because I'm curious to see what their plan for this is. What's exactly the area they're going to tackle with this? Is this going to be because I've heard the way this series is sort of described, a lot of people kind of almost compare it to like a Game of Thrones kind of show, like a political intrigue is kind of a big thing with this, and that how the sort of politics of this family, this ruling family, kind of play out, and that's where it kind of gets into some stuff. So I want to check this stuff out, read a little bit more into it, kind of find a bit more about the Inhumans themselves, see where all this can go. But they have on their hands the potential for another huge property that you aren't going to see anywhere else.
Yeah, we'll probably dig into that once we start digging in after we're done digging into Doc. Because let's
Mhm.
be honest, like we could dig into Ant-Man, but do you really want to read Ant-Man comics?
I still do want to get into something of Ant-Man, but yeah, I concur on the notion of we don't have to dig too deep into him.
Nah, we already know about Mr. Boring Pants.
Oh, we're calling him Mr. Boring Pants
No,
now?
no, 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 no. We know which one's Mr. Boring Pants.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I like one of them.
I don't mind Scott Lang. Scott
Yeah,
Lang
Scott
is
Lang's cool.
Scott Lang's okay. I don't want to read a comic about Scott Lang,
I
but
think I could read a comic about Scott Lang.
I don't know.
See, here's the thing about that fucking picture. It's the one thing I really like about this is it adds a new element into the kind of Avengers lineup, in that they now have like their rogue character, their
And the guy who
scoundrel.
wears hoodies.
Yes, well, he's a thief. That's what they do. They wear hoodies and steal from old ladies.
Hey, Star-Lord didn't have a hoodie.
Star-Lord had a mask and a leather jacket. I feel like those two kind of combine a
They're
little bit.
better.
All right, if you say so.
But speaking of thieves and
Okay.
Star-Lord,
Okay.
we read a
I don't
comic.
know. I don't know where you're going with this. Oh, right, a Star-Lord comic. Yes, we did. We read the Star-Lord comic.
Oh man, I mentioned Star-Lord. Where do you think it was going?
I'm just like, is he going back to the Terry Crews news?
That's pretty bad, dude. But no, we read Legendary Star-Lord, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit, and then maybe go into some opinion shit. But that sure was a comic I read.
Yes, it was. It was a good comic, I thought, for the most
It
part.
suffered from first issue-itis.
It did suffer from first issue-itis. It also suffered from trying a little bit too hard-itis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if the what are we just gonna get into spoil it, or
There's not much to spoil.
I was just gonna reference one particular moment that bothered me.
Yeah, I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
It's where he's talking to Star Lord, when he's a kid, and he's talking to the priest at his mother's funeral, and he's like, I want you to. Your mother died trying to save your life, Peter. So you need to make sure that you do some good in this world. And Peter's
Space.
sitting there. He's like, I'm gonna do good in space. He's like, you're right, Peter. You're gonna do good in space. God, I'm gonna miss this wild imagination of yours. And it's like, I know what you're doing. You're obviously setting up that he's Star Lord, but the kid doesn't know he's fucking Star Lord. The kid doesn't even know there's a fucking space universe out there that's so full of these cosmic characters. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, no kid would say this.
That priest suffered from the worst bouts of foreshadowing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because the one that I was okay was like, you could be the captain of your own ship. And I kind of rolled my eyes and went, okay, yeah, I understand what you're doing. Then they did it a second time with that one.
Yeah.
And it was like, the first time was okay. Second time, not so much.
We just want you to know you could be a king.
This is after we already know this kid is Star-Lord, and we've seen him doing Star-Lord things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know. It suffered from I didn't care through most of this book. It's like, oh look, it's Star-Lord, yay. I was more intrigued at the what he's done recently panel than anything else in that comic. I want to see the issue where him and Groot are singing with Rocket. I want to read that issue.
Yeah, it did seem like a funny thing. You're like, oh, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to read that. You're like, oh, I guess I'm not.
Oh, well, fuck me then.
Yeah, excuse the shit out of me, man.
My bad. I guess I cared too much. But no, it suffered from, I think the best way of putting this one out is, if I were to just pick up this comic, like, months ago before Guardians, I don't think I would have picked up issue 2. I wasn't intrigued enough after reading that book to continue reading where this is going. Like the end hook is kind of there, but it's like it felt soap opera-y and very comic booky.
Yeah, and I can kind of understand that, and it's gonna be something I'm gonna have to get into. It's especially because it exists in this weird area where I'm not. I know everything that happened to them back in the
Yo, wait, run.
the Thanos imperative and all that. And the way Thanos imperative ends kind of leaves things very particular about how Peter Quill should be doing stuff. And this comic book run doesn't seem to explain that per se right now. So I'm in a place where I'm like, is this comic explained? Because from what I understand, the new run that I believe Bendis does never brings it up.
No.
It's just like, yep, he's here and he's fine and everything's good.
Ta-da!
Like, okay, well, what happened with all that? Don't care about it.
Shh. Here's a kitten.
Oh, okay. And
And the
I'm
kitten
like,
is Tony Stark, by the way.
and I'm like, oh, thank you. We're gonna put Miss Marvel and X-Men in this too. You know, like, did the Guardians do any of their own stuff? No.
Nope.
So the question, for me, kind of becomes: is this supposed to be happening at the same time? Like,
I
is this going to be trying to explain what happened in that time period? Because he mentions Thanos, like he mentions, I've got a big plan going on. So it's like, did this happen before? Is this after? Like, is this going to address it at all? Like, where's the stakes in this, in the status quo? Or is this just supposed to be, hey, it's Star Lord, it's a story, deal with it?
this also makes me appreciate the Rocket Raccoon book even more
Mhm.
because that first issue set the stakes, made you care, and you wonder where it was going, all in one issue.
Now, I do still like things about this book. Like, I like that he has this like super cheesy scene where he's like, "I'm giving the orphanage back, the money I got from my sale because it's just the right thing to do. And I was here to help you guys in River Gate." And then he gets back to his ship and he's like, "Fucking goddamn it! I didn't want to give those guys anything, but I needed this gem."
Damn it.
Like, it is a very Han Solo, or very even more crooked than Han Solo, I guess you'd say. But it is a very like Star Lord kind of move where he's like kind of playing everybody a little bit,
Mhm.
and there's definitely plans behind his plans. It's fun to read, so I do like that aspect a lot.
But I think most of the book just fell apart on that. I think it felt like it was half an issue.
Yeah, and that is an issue, but I guess it comes down to, let's see how the next few issues go. I'll definitely check them out.
See, if I were to go already to my final thoughts about if I would continue reading it or not, I probably wouldn't, just because of the fact that I don't have that much time to read comics, and
Your
usually
time's precious.
it's not that really that my time's precious. It's that if I'm going to read a comic, it's going to be one that hooks me quickly,
Mm.
which is one that has decent hooks, makes me go, well, then they kind of know what they're doing. And Star-Lord made me feel like they were already spinning their wheels a little bit, saying, we had this reveal, but let's wait till the end of the issue to go with that. And it's like, that's not that interesting. It already makes me feel like, do you even have enough material here to run your own comic?
I mean, they've got something they're going for. It's just, is it going to be that interesting? Is the question.
But I just had the feeling with the pacing when it
Yeah.
comes to like, here's the end of the issue, here's where the story is going. It's like, okay. Whereas I'll go again to Rocket because that's another decent comparison because same team, same idea, doing all the same things. We kind of knew by the halfway point what they were kind of going for. Like,
Mhm.
oh, there's another of his kind out there. What does this mean? And like, that's the hook. And it's like, okay, that's what they're going for. And why is he being set up? All this stuff. And it ends with him saying, take me to prison. All of those things were interesting in the way of setting up the story in a little more organic manner. I really feel that Star-Lord probably needed a little bit more time baking before
Yeah.
it got released, is really what it
Yeah.
feels like to me.
And I can totally see that. Yeah.
The elements were there, and I also feel like I hate that I'm still comparing it to Rocket. Unlike that one, this one was relying on a lot more past events, a lot
Yeah.
more things tied to it. Like he brings up Kitty, which I imagine is Kitty Pryde.
I assume so. At first, though, she looked like a 12-year-old girl. And I was like, why are you asking what she's doing in bed? This is getting weird, Star Lord.
I always imagine everybody in Marvel's of age because of reasons.
Yeah, well, that's I read a lot more manga, so I'm kind of used to like 12-year-olds being sexually exploited, unfortunately. It
Yeah.
happens a lot more frequently, so
My first clue that it was that exact Kitty was when she mentioned I've had trouble with Peters in the past.
yeah, that's where I was like, oh, okay. I assume she's referring to Colossus or Spider-Man. I don't know if she ever had a
Spider
relationship with
Man.
Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, she did have an issue with Spider Man. Because it's Parker
Well, I
that
assume
she's
she
talking
also
about.
meant I assume she also meant Peter Rasputin.
Could
So
be,
that,
but she actually did have a relationship with Parker.
okay. Well, she had a relationship with Colossus too.
Except for the one with Spider Man was a lot nastier
Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
in
I know
all the
very.
ways.
Oh. Ooh, is there a sexy comic of Kitty Pryde and Spider-Man banging I should be reading?
It's the internet. Of course there is.
All right, let's go to Google
Odds
right now.
are it's gender swapped both of them.
Well, that doesn't sound hot at all. But I'll have to look to find out.
Later or now.
Or right now. How about that? Boom.
Oh God, there is. But no,
That's not bad.
I don't know. I wasn't too keen on the art. I thought the art was kind of just there.
The art's very expectable, I suppose you could say.
I
It's not bad. It's just exactly what I'd expect
It's
from a
blah.
comic book. Yeah.
And I really hated the fact that for some reason Star-Lord looks like he's 16.
Yeah. It's not perfect.
He does
Um,
look like he just fell out of a CW show.
he does look very good looking. Yeah.
He's got that teenage, good-looking, harmless charm where I'm like, come on, guys. You couldn't make him have that little bit more of a rugged look, which is why, it works so well in the movie. Because he wasn't too far, but he was just rugged enough to where he's a rogue, which is who he's supposed to be as a character. Not, I fell off the CW train and now I just fell into a comic book. I don't know. I feel like maybe I was expecting this book to be a lot better than it was,
Mhm.
and then it wasn't. It was very middle of the road, which I always take issue with blah, where blah is worse than obviously blah's worse than good, but blah is worse than bad because it's just there. You're like, well,
Mhm.
that existed. There's not enough to pick apart towards an interesting discussion point. It's just there.
Yeah, and again, I completely see why people would be like, I would read this book and be like, I didn't really get a whole lot from that, so I don't need to do more.
It didn't grab,
Hmm.
which you would assume that they would want to have happen with an issue one of something that they want to have huge. Also, I did notice that it was kind of funny that the cover said from the Guardians of the Galaxy and Rocket didn't.
Yeah, that's a bit interesting.
Hmm. I don't know.
But hey, I'd still say you're a huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan. You're really digging it right now. You're not gonna be doing yourself worse for checking it out. But if you're tight in cash and you're like, is it worth it? Probably not.
Go pick up Rocket.
Yeah, go pick up Rocket, and if you're really curious about this, maybe in a couple weeks I can see if I can pick up some more issues, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'll check out probably too, but there are more things pressing when it comes to comics. Like I really do need just to I want to finish She-Hulk. I really
Mhm.
want to finish She-Hulk.
Although from what I've seen now, She-Hulk is a lot different.
I know, but I want to finish reading that legacy stuff because that was good.
It was very good.
Did you ever read the sequel series? I can't remember.
I did the whole 2005 run,
The
which I
one
think
that
was like
ended with
20
her
ish
having the fight, right?
with Titania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So then okay, we haven't read the other one yet because I was going to read the rest of it first. But yeah, I still want to read that stuff. I mean, we need to start reading Doc. Um I want to find some decent Ultron stuff too. So I haven't really read a ton of him in the comics. I've read enough and seen enough to where I know that Ultron is best. Shut your fucking mouth. And that's about it. I mean, I don't really know what to dig into with Ant-Man at all. If I want to start reading his crap.
I can look into it, and I can let you know if I find anything that's worth noting.
Yeah, but we still have some stuff coming up. I mean, we got Shield coming back soon rather than later.
Yes, very soon.
I,
Super excited about that.
we got physical releases of Cap and Agents coming out very soon,
Hmm.
which is gonna be nice. So I can actually sit down and watch those. I am expecting for my wallet to be crying out in pain when that happens.
Oh God, I don't even want to start thinking about
So I think that's
money for
also
this
the
thing.
same day Destiny hits.
Yeah, my thing is I'm really trying to save up money so I can get a PS4 and everything by that time too.
Yeah, have fun with that, bro.
Yeah, it's a fool's move. I can already feel.
Well, it's not like there's gonna be sales during the holidays.
Yeah, but I want it now. I
Meh.
want it now.
Were you kind of sold after you heard how well the PS4 was doing too? PS
Sold in regards to
period.
getting a PS4.
Kind of like you're like, oh, I guess the PS4 is the move for me then.
No, I was sold on the PS4 back when they were doing the sort of lead into it
Oh,
and
okay.
that versus the Xbox One. I was like, no, I want to get a PS4 this time around.
Okay.
I just was like, there's nothing good out for it. And I was like, I'm trying to save money. And now I'm like, fuck it, I just want one.
Just shut your mouth. Give it to me.
Yeah, give me. They're like, do you have money? I'm like, well,
Well, let's talk about that.
yeah, money, kind of.
God, it is the same day. That is not fair. I think it's the same day. Because it's the 9th, and I guess I'll just look at that one. Oh, that's the... Who wants to buy the PS3 Destiny bundle? Yeah, the 9th for both. So, yeah, that's going to be a really expensive day for me. Actually, no, that won't be an expensive day for me because I will have bought Destiny beforehand.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And I'll have a giant timer on my PS4 saying, you have this many days to unlock. Because it does do that, by the way.
Oh.
And then you can preload it, and then it installs so that when it releases, you can instantly play it.
I told you I want it. Stop making me want it more.
Too spooky.
You're a jerk.
I know. But so we got a little bit of time before we have to talk about shit. So yeah, we've got 3 weeks until those releases. So it probably will be around the 9th when we start talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. in a retrospective way.
Mm-hmm.
Also on that day, I'll probably talk about the Blu-ray of Cap because I always wake up in the morning and go and get those things. I do not wait till later on the day. First thing in the morning, I go out and grab them because I like doing that. I get breakfast.
Well, you'll have to let me know how that is, because as big of a Cap fan as I am, I'm not going to be buying Cap on Blu-ray the day it comes out.
I will recommend this to everybody, and I'm sorry I have to say this following sentence, Chris.
Okay.
If you do not get it on the day it comes out, it will not be on sale for an incredibly long time. It'll be back to full price because that is how these movies tend to work. If you look at the price structure and the pricing for Avengers and Thor,
I went to go get the original Captain America on Blu-ray when I was looking to get a Blu-ray player, and it was like, oh, this is still like $30. What the fuck?
yeah, they just don't go on sale.
I was like, what the? I got Kick-Ass 2 for like $12, and that just came out. How is this movie still super expensive?
Well, if you pay attention to me, I might be able to show you a decent place to get it where it'll be cheaper than the DVD because that does happen.
I need to get a super cheap place to get a TV and a PS4. That's what I need.
If you're not picky on the exact edition of the Blu-ray that you get, you could probably pick up the Blu-ray for $15.
That's not bad.
On a release day. Yeah, I get the higher editions because that's what I like in my collection. Mainly because I like having the extra features, any pack-ins, etc., etc., etc. But with these big, this is going to a little bit of release ideals, which is how these things usually play out. What ends up happening is each retailer's got their own exclusive. They're all like that. Sometimes they're very wide sweeping in their differences, like a certain movie called Star Trek Into Darkness, where iTunes got the exclusive commentary for the movie. I can't tell you why. The only way you get the director's commentary was through iTunes. But with this movie, it looks like the place to get it in terms of special features is going to be Target. Target is apparently having a big behind-the-scenes documentary in it, which, because I was looking at the Blu-ray thread on Blu-ray.com for the movie, and they said special features on the disc itself is clocking in at a total of 25 minutes.
That seems like a lot.
It's not. That is like nothing.
What's on it?
That includes deleted scenes, bloopers, all that stuff.
That's just
everything other than the movie is 25 minutes long.
Does that include a commentary track?
No. They'll say it on the actual movie. Like, this thing has over 5 hours of special features. Yeah, because half of that's your commentary.
Yeah, okay.
But and these actual listings was the length of time of each of these features, which was like, I think like the deleted scenes clocked in at maybe 12 minutes of deleted and alternate scenes.
That's a bummer.
It really made me upset because ever since Disney's taken over, the amount of special features has taken a fucking nosedive. Ever since, I'm gonna say Thor. Although Thor did have a decent amount. Captain America 1 had like nothing too. The last one that actually had a decent amount was Iron Man 2. because that entire disc of special features. But I don't know. It makes me upset inside because I'm someone who likes to look at that shit, and it upsets me that I'm gonna have to go to Target to get it as a special edition disc.
You don't like Target?
I don't like having to go to a retailer specifically to buy a bonus edition of something to get what I want out of it. That upsets me as a consumer. The fact that I am like, oh, you want to actually see how this movie's made? Go to Target.
Suck it.
It's like, I don't mind buying at Target. I only buy at Best Buy because of the points that you get.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather have that, but I don't care. I mean, the last one of them I bought at Target was Avengers, and it came with its own, this is getting to me and the way I look at things, its own slipcover, which I wasn't a big of a fan of. Because it looked very poop.
Wasn't it one of them was just like plain white letters on, or plain black letters on like a white background or something like that?
Something like that. I don't remember which one did that one, but I'm actually giving you a link to the one that I have, the edition that I have. It is this one. This is the Target exclusive Avengers, which came with a special disc. Look at that cover.
That's an okay cover.
That is the same cover as the regular Blu-ray edition, but with the split down the middle, and here's 3 more people on the bottom. Because the regular 3D Blu-ray looks like this.
That's just the standard opening then.
No, that is...
Or the standard cover.
That is your regular poster.
Yeah, that was just like the poster.
But the other difference is, in terms of collecting value, quote-unquote collecting value, is that one had the lenticular cover, the one that moves, whereas the Target one did not.
Okay.
So there's a...
So these are the specifics.
Those are the specific 2 differences, and I didn't like that other cover. It just didn't appeal to me, but the disc was more appealing. Also, all the Marvel movies tend to have a very big theme to them when it comes to their covers. They all kind of go together. Up until Avengers. Then they're all kind of following a very similar kind of feel after the Avengers. Specifically Thor and Cap will follow very similar terms of construction of the way that their front is looked at. But this is getting oddly specific.
Very much so, but you enjoy it, so I want you to share that passion.
Ish.
I want you to share it.
Other than that, anything else interesting that I am currently scrolling down on my Blu-ray homepage to see if anything else is weird and whatnot. Spider-Man came out on Blu-ray today.
It did, with an extra special scene where Peter meets his father that I still don't understand how that exists in the movie.
I almost went and grabbed it at Redbox because I believe it also hit Redbox today. Which is weird that it's day and date. It is day and date on Redbox. I should look up if Cap's going to be day and date at Redbox because sometimes they're not.
I should watch Captain America on Red. I should get that on Redbox. I rent from Redbox now. I'm trying to catch up on all the movies I've missed.
Cap 2 is going to be at Redbox day and date.
So I've been catching up on a lot of crap. I currently have Divergent to watch.
Oh, guess what else comes out the same day on Redbox? A Haunted House 2 and Tekken 2.
Ooh, wow, that's some step. Are people even going to see the Captain America's in there, and they're just going to flood it for fucking Haunted House?
I don't know. I don't know at all. I can't remember if there's a bunch of other Marvel movies at Redbox because they usually do that when they're like, "Hey, we got a movie out. Go see our other movies." So like when Cap 2 hit, they made sure Cap 1 was in Redbox when it hit. Like, yeah, right now, Spider-Man, the first Amazing Spider-Man is in there. Scrolling back through. Oh, I can still rent Man of Steel. Ooh.
You could.
Is it actually available in my area? But when it really comes down to everything that is coming from here on out, I mean, we could plan till, any of those expressions that we could currently use right now. But do we really need to? Because shit's just going to happen again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you this question: if we
Okay.
did not have news to talk about next week, what would you like to talk about?
Um, one topic I'd like to talk about
Which
is
topic?
the score in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay, the musical score, the OSTs, as they were known.
Yeah. I really dig the scores in the universe or in the different movies right now, and I kind of wouldn't mind going through and talking about them.
Okay, um, I'll say this right now: I don't really have an opinion on them. Mainly,
Yeah, like if you have something that you like or something that you're like, I didn't really dig this one, or if you got some favorite tracks.
um, my feeling when it comes to soundtracks, this will be like a blurb before we get into it, I guess, next week. Is I think score works the same way as editing and visual effects to me,
Okay.
which is you don't really notice it until it's wrong. Good score blends.
It does, but I'm the kind of guy where after I watch something, I'm like, I really like the music in that. I'll just listen to the music afterwards. Like I've been going through the Guardians of the Galaxy score and just listening to the scenes again. You're like, oh, I remember this little bit from when it popped up in the movie and you didn't really notice it. But I'm really big to like that epic feeling you get from certain scores.
Hmm.
And like especially when you get to like the end of the movie and you get like the theme song that plays. Like I have Take a Stand, which is the Captain America Winter Soldier main theme. That's my alarm in the morning. So like if I wake up, I get to feel important.
Nice.
It doesn't really work. I just get angry. Yeah, I could play a song that's like, "Hey, Christopher, you're awesome." It's like, "Shut the fuck up, cell phone!" Smash, smash, smash.
Uh, yeah. So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. I mean, I, as of current, don't have an opinion. I actually just sit down and listen to these. The other thing that I've been looking into doing once my schedule frees up a bit is I've been looking into making, and I've seen some other people talking about this, making their own awesome mixes,
Really?
which has been an interesting thing that some people are now doing, apparently. And I was thinking about it on my drive home from picking up Diablo for my PS4, and I'm like, I could make one. And it's not because of the amount of music, it's my taste in music.
Mhm.
So I would have like, here's the standard one, here's the metal edition. Because I can't have like, here's some CCR then Skeleton Witch. They just don't mix. I can't have my eclectic taste of just random shit that I do love and go from that to August Burns Red. It just, no, it doesn't
You,
work.
you can't just flow from one to the other.
I can, but the old I hate saying the DJ in me hates it.
You're a DJ?
Internet, remember?
DJ Master Fragger?
Please don't. Um,
Wicka Wicka Fragger.
I I cannot stand whiplash in genres.
Okay.
When you've got like, let's say you go from like Behind Blue Eyes to like a Pantera song.
Now,
That doesn't work.
are we talking about original Behind Blue
Yes,
Eyes
we are
or the
not talking.
sweet Limp Bizkit cover?
We are not talking about that sweet ass Limp Bizkit cover.
Okay.
No, we're not. But you know what I mean.
Yes,
It
I get what
doesn't
you mean.
work. And I mean, I have such a range. No, I listen to so many different kinds of music that I could very easily have a regular and a metal version because even the metal version will be super diverse because I listen from the range of just straight up metal to death metal.
Mhm.
So that'd be an interesting project to go through that. To do 12 songs.
Okay.
That could be fun to do.
Yeah, I could see it.
Talk about music next week.
Yeah, let's talk about some music.
Let's talk about some music. So,
Unless fucking, tomorrow comes out and, they're like, hey, Credible Hulk movie's coming out in 2017, guys. Just want FYI.
table flip.
It's just like, God damn it!
Marvel gets back
Oh, here's our
Spider-Man rights.
Yeah, it's like, here's our first shot of the Ant-Man movie. A trailer for Ant-Man's out. Like, God damn it!
We have announced that Avengers Age of Ultron is actually coming out in December now.
Avengers Age of Ultron going to be a two-part movie. The second part is they fight Ultron in space with the Guardians.
And they come out 3 months apart.
Yeah. And there's a prologue movie with all your favorite characters that's going to be out in November. Suck it.
No. The prologue is called Iron Man 4.
Yeah. Directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Everyone's like, oh my god.
And Hideo Kojima.
By the way, That is actually a really awesome little bit of game.
Is
PT?
it?
Oh yeah.
I watched you play a little bit of it.
Yeah, I remember you being in there and I acknowledged you, then you left.
I didn't leave. I was still in the stream. I just had to go get groceries.
It was
And when I came back, there was a baby in a coffin crying.
yeah. So okay, that's a little bit of a tangent, but doesn't that game actually look creepy as shit?
From what I've seen, I managed to unfortunately catch you while you were playing it while you were stuck on a puzzle.
Yeah, well,
So it got progressively less creepy when you're like, does the clock do anything?
does this work?
Yeah, like I'm just gonna bang my head against this for a while. Is this it?
No?
But it
Okay.
seems like it is scary. I have seen shots of it that do seem intimidating. It's one of the reasons I want to get a PS4 so I can try it myself and see, how it is.
It's an incredibly unnerving thing, and I would personally love for Gabriel to play in the Marvel like sand pit, but apparently he's playing in the DC one instead.
Well, he has
Well, it's a 19 project that man is working on at the same time.
yeah, I mean he has what? Justice League Dark is what he's supposedly working on for them.
Yeah, with like Constantine, it's supposed to be all the dark heroes doing shit, and I'm like, I would watch the shit out of that.
It could be good.
If Guillermo ever does it, I would actually rather him do his H.P. Lovecraft movie instead.
Maybe you can work some of that into that. I mean, isn't that what the Justice League Dark is supposed to do? They're supposed to prevent
Except
like
for the fact that this was at the Mouths of Madness, and it was going to be starring Tom Cruise.
Hmm.
Because Tom Cruise was actually the one saying, "No, we need to make this movie. I want to make this. I want to make an R-rated horror film with Guillermo del Toro." And I'm like, "I'm in. I am. I can't believe how in I am on this. This is amazing."
Give it to me now.
His current one though is with Hiddleston that he's making.
Hmm.
He's making a haunted house movie with Tom Hiddleston.
What? I'm assuming Tom Hiddleston
Is the lead.
protagonist. Okay,
Yeah,
so
he's
he's
the
like,
lead.
so he's the good guy in it. He's not like a vampire or something.
Well, who knows? It is Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I guess you could see. I'm a little bit jaded on news because I found out right before we went on. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan,
Oh God.
but he has this Tusk movie coming out that I'm kind of like, I've been sort of meh on for a while now. But he just announced that he's doing a sequel movie already. Like
Oh
this is going to be part of a
man.
trilogy, and the second one's called Yoga Hosers, and it's going to be starring his daughter, Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp's daughter.
So, in other words, it sounds a lot like a vanity project.
It's not. It sounds vanity, but I think he's just doing stupid shit for the sake of doing stupid shit because no one else is doing it. Like that's his whole mindset going into Tusk. He's like, no one else is gonna make a movie about a walrus, like a guy being turned into a walrus.
Why not?
But the problem is that he keeps fucking doing stupid ass podcasts and be like, oh man, I'm so high. This sounds like a good idea for a movie too. And I'm just like, man, why don't you see how Tusk boils out? See how your first movie that was spawned off of a pot-ridden fucking podcast suggestion turns out before you're like signing Johnny Depp on to do two more.
Okay, so do you want to hear how much you want to see this movie that he's making at the Mountains of Madness?
What's that?
So, James Cameron was also producing the movie.
Okay.
And it was going to be an R-rated tentpole with Tom Cruise starring in it. So, that sounds insane, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I was completely in. But by the way, the next movie that Guillermo del Toro is making is Crimson Peak with I have no idea how to pronounce this woman's name. Mia Wasikowska? She's Australian, apparently.
That sounds about right.
I'm looking at that going, that sounds Ukrainian. But she's in well, that's not a good O, but I guess kind of a good O. She was Alice in the Alice in Wonderland movie, the recent one.
Okay.
But she was in the movie Defiance. She was also in Stoker, which is supposed to be a fantastic movie, and a few other things, and is the female lead. And then her husband is Hiddleston. And as it says, and I'm not even joking, this is in quotation marks, a charming hero with a mysterious past. Del Toro.
Okay. There you go.
So I would still love Del Toro to play in this universe really heavily. But you know what that also means? If Del Toro came over, Ron Perlman.
You're talking if you came into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Exactly. He would bring Ron Perlman with him because when doesn't he bring Ron Perlman with him?
Now, can he bring Ron Perlman with him and Hellboy, and we just slide Hellboy into the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I think was Hellboy owned by Dark
I
Horse?
had to I had to assume he's like an Image or Dark Horse kind of
Dark Horse.
guy.
He's Dark Horse. Yeah, that's not happening.
Aww. It'd be
Unfortunately,
sweet though, right?
yeah, it would be. I would say sweet. I could go with sweet, but okay. A little bit of theory crafting. We'll end the episode on. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
What would you rather have? Guillermo del Toro joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Hellboy 3?
What's he gonna do in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
You know what?
This is what you get when you ask me hypothetically.
No. I got it already.
Okay.
The sequel to Doctor Strange.
I almost need to see what Scott Derrickson's gonna do with it first.
Let's just take him out of the picture of that. Like let's say he did an amazing job, and then Guillermo del Toro is just going to amp it up for the sequel because he's.
I could say okay. I think what I'd be excited about right now is if you said, "Oh, they're gonna do a Ghost Rider movie," and Guillermo del Toro.
Then let's say a Ghost Rider movie.
Okay, then yes, I'm all for it. I'd do that before Hellboy 3.
You would do that before Hellboy 3.
Yeah. I mean, I like Hellboy, but I like my Marvel Cinematic Universe shit more.
I could go either way on that. Honestly, I love Hellboy so much. Since I just recently rewatched those, I would love a Hellboy 3, and especially I would love it more for one reason: Ron Perlman's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, I think they've all but confirmed there's not going to be a third one.
No, Guillermo del Toro is doing his usual. I'm working on 19 things at the same time. Maybe I'll make a Hellboy. Maybe I'll make something else.
I thought I heard that the studio didn't want to do a third one.
Studio kind of doesn't want to do it, but don't forget, 1 and 2 were two different studios entirely.
It's true.
Because if memory serves, and I'm actually clicking the back button on my mouse while I'm saying this, the first one was Sony, and the sequel was Universal. Because I know the second one's Universal, and the first one was Columbia. Sorry. So yeah, they did already jump studios. It depends on what their contract is and bullshit. But I do agree with the popular opinion that if Hellboy 2 came out around the last 2 years or so, would have made fuck tons of money.
Oh yeah.
It just came out the worst possible time for that kind of a movie to hit. They both did.
It's not really a question. It would have been a shit ton of money at the time, but
yeah, because the first one came out around the time of X-Men.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
First one came out in 2004.
I was gonna say I want to feel it's like that 2004, 2005 area.
And the second one came out in 2008. That's around Spider-Man 2.
I still don't think I've seen the full Hellboy 2. I know I've seen pieces of it. I just don't think I've seen the whole thing front to back.
I still say it's one of those weird things about the sequel is the fact that Seth MacFarlane's in it and he's good.
I don't have as much of a problem with Seth MacFarlane.
A Million Ways Out of the West. Moving on.
I saw a promo screen of that.
And did it make you want to kill people?
I was like, you know what? It wasn't very good, but I didn't think it was the worst thing ever either.
Because you didn't pay for it either.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it.
That probably helped.
That was a pretty big plus. I was like, hey, I got to see this and didn't have to pay for it at all, which was pretty sweet. There's a couple good jokes. It's one of those things where I'm just like, ugh, I don't like. I could watch this and then I'm done with having to see like a Family Guy or anything like that for like 7 months.
Because
like,
I've seen all the Family Guy.
Yeah, I just don't need to see it. I've seen it already. One Seth MacFarlane project is the same as the rest for like 6 months.
Well, I have to say this. We've been going on for a little long now.
Okay.
We went super off topic, but we do need to cut it short here because we are rambling about an entirely different property entirely.
And you have to edit this,
No,
which
I
is
don't.
not going to be easy.
No, I'm not. Fuck that. I'll do my normal editing thing. Here's the beginning. Here's the end. Boom.
It's like me with my podcast where I'm just like, the beginning sounds good. The end sounds good. I'm just going to assume the middle's fine.
Usually what ends up happening is that I kind of know if there's fuck-ups in it. And if I know there's fuck-ups in there, I will edit them out. But otherwise, I'm not editing this content. Fuck that. That's effort.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, especially since I remember to edit this thing at 11 o'clock on Thursday. Usually. So that's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week with a more musical-themed podcast, if we remember.